Hi, Christopher. It's Oscar Sanchez. I'm going to go ahead and explain this 1-to-4 family residential contract that we talked about. This is going to be the correct contract that we're going to use on that fourplex on Berry. There's certain parts of the contract that are going to be, how do I say it? You're really not going to have an option because they're property specific or contract specific. And then I'll let you know the ones that you will have an option to go ahead and tell me what you want. But I'll also give you my recommendations. Paragraph 1, you're really not going to have an option because it says the buyer's information and the seller's information. And it's going to be your information as the buyer and the seller's information as the seller. So property or section 2 is the property legal description. Once again, we really don't have a choice because the legal description is recorded in the county and we're just going to follow their description for lot, block, and subdivision information. Exclusions, if there was something that was going to be retained by the seller, he would put it here, for example, like a chandelier, but there's really nothing that's going to be excluded. Everything's going to be included in the sale. Part 3, you're just going to put the sales price, and also you're going to put 0 for the cash down because it's a VA loan, 100% financing. Paragraph 4, you're going to put the loan amount, which is also going to be the sales price. So this number and this number will be the same. And we're going to click this little box here, which says the contract is going to be subject for the financing described in the third-party financing addendum for credit approval. And let me tell you what that means. It says this contract is subject to, I'm just going to read it verbatim, but what it means is if you can't get financing, then you have so many days to back out and protect your earnest money. Okay. Title policy, we're going to put title policy information here. More than likely, we're going to use Republic Title just because they're the ones who did the original sale. They'll have a lot of the title work already completed, and then they'll be able to provide you with more information quickly. Earnest money is typically 1% here in Texas. It's all negotiable. You could put $1. They would counter more than likely, but 1% is the average. If there's multiple offers on a property, then typically what they'll do is they'll increase this earnest money amount to make their offer stronger. Right here, we're going to put the escrow officer's name, which is Scott Hamilton, the title company's address, which is 3131 Turtle Creek, and then the amount here, we're going to leave blank because we're not adding any additional earnest money. We're just doing the initial, and that's all that's needed for this contract. Title policy and survey. Basically, you're going to click boxes that says who is going to pay for the title policy and who's going to pay for the survey. So seller typically pays for the title policy in Texas, and if there is any changes to the title policy, then we'll go ahead and get an amendment, and then we'll have the seller pay for it. That's pretty common. The survey, there is an existing survey that your lender will be able to use. So we're going to put within 10 days, the seller shall furnish to you a new survey so that you can provide your lender with a survey. And if the lender approves it, then you're good to go. If the lender does not approve it, then the seller can pay for a new survey as well. And I believe in VA, you're not allowed to even pay for your survey. Both the survey and the appraisal are charged to the seller. Objections, this basically says you can back out if the property is not able to be used for this thing on this many days. So we typically put residential usage and then within 3 days. I don't see there being a problem because people are already living in the complex. This part right here is describing if there's an HOA, and there is not, so we'd click no. The things I'm skipping over are promulgated by Texas, such as you have to pay taxes, you have to pay for your own utilities. If there's transfer fees, you might have to pay them, but there's not. Property condition, we're going to click buyer has not received the seller's disclosure, and then within so many days, the seller has to furnish you the seller's disclosure, which is basically a questionnaire about the property's condition. Next part, we are going to accept property as is condition. You can still have the property inspected, and you can still ask for repairs, but that's not what this means. This means we're not asking for any initial repairs or treatments to the property. You would put something here if you knew for a fact they had termites, then we would go ahead and put seller to go ahead and treat termites prior to close right off the bat. Right here is A service contract. This is the amount of money that you're going to request the seller to pay for your home warranty. It's basically a protection of electrical, mechanical, and plumbing of the home so that you are not out of pocket these big ticket items. Now, the cost of a home warranty is about $400 per unit. So 4 times 4, that's $1,600. You can make the choice whether or not you want to keep $1,600 for home warranty that you're probably not going to use, or you might want to use $1,600 and use it for a seller's credit towards your closing cost. Or you can do both. Whatever the seller agrees to will be, countered back. So I'm just giving you your options. Closing date. We typically need 45 days for a VA loan. So just to kind of give you an idea, we would probably suggest a close date of June 25th. That gives you more than enough time. And if you need to have an extension, I'm pretty sure we would not have a problem with that because the property is cash flowing and the seller is not losing any money. Possession will always occur upon funding and closing unless there's a temporary leaseback, which there's not. So we'll click this box. Special provisions is what you would put if there's not an amendment to describe something that you want or if it's not in this original contract. 12AB is the amount of money that you want the seller to pay towards your closing cost. So I believe the VA will allow them to pay up to 6%. Please verify that with your lender. But if you want the seller to pay all 6% of your closing costs, you could put that number right here as well. Typically, the seller will pay for 3%. 6% is kind of high, just because I think VA and conventional are the only two loans that allow that much money. And I don't even think your total closing cost would equate to 6%. So find out from your lender how much your closing costs would be, and then think about how much you would want the seller to pay for, or if you're paying for all your own closing cost. Prorations. Okay, this part I'm just skipping because I'll review it real quick. Prorations, you're going to get credit for taxes from January until the day that you close. Your taxes will be included in your mortgage payment, so you really don't have to worry about anything because you're just going to pay. You're just going to pay for the days that you've owned the property, and at the end of the year you'll have a credit, which will make the entire full tax amount equal to what's due. Casualty loss basically says that you'll close with the condition of the property that meets the exact condition in which you signed your original contract in. So for example, if a window got broken, the seller would have to go ahead and fix that window prior to close. Default, I want you to read. I'm actually going to not read the whole thing, but basically this says if buyer fails to comply with contract, buyer's in default, and seller can do A, B, or C. So I'm going to cut and paste this specific paragraph out because I think it's one of the most important ones. Also, if seller is in default, the buyer may do A, B, or C things. So read this default paragraph. If you have questions, you can give me a call. Mediation. We do not like going to court. It ties things up. So if there's a huge dispute for some reason and you guys cannot work it out, you'll go to a mediator. They'll work out the result within a day. It's cheap, it's efficient, and it keeps properties selling without holding them up in court. Escrow. This describes what an escrow agent is, what it does, what they're not allowed to do, how to get money back if the other client is not cooperating. But basically, there are people that work at the title policy that are non-biased, that don't represent buyers or sellers, but follow the contract to the letter. So we're going to skip 20 because we are American citizens. I'm assuming. If not, let me know, and we'll need additional documentation. Paragraph 21. I'm just going to put your email address, and that's how you're going to receive all notices from the title company. And then I'm going to click on 22. It says agreements of parties. This contract contains blah, 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 but we're also going to include this. And we're just going to click third-party financing addendum, which basically says that you're going to get a loan. Paragraph 23, I think this is the coolest paragraph in the entire contract because this little paragraph does a lot. It says, hey, for a nominal fee of, which basically is money, let's say $100, I would like 7 days to back out for any reason and secure my earnest money and protect it. So you pay a little bit of money, but it protects your $2,000 up here for that time period. And that's typically when people get an inspection. So they have time to review the inspection and request repairs if need be. Okay, that's all there is to this contract. This is information for the title company. Thank you so much, Christopher.